Hello, my name is Mayor Nicholson, and we are here today to talk about the current ongoing pandemic situation that we have here in the city of Gardner with regard to COVID-19. Many of you may remember back when Councilor Kaczynskis was serving as the acting mayor of the city, on top of the regular weekly update like we've continued to do, she also from time to time would do a COVID-19 related update solely on information related to the city's response to the pandemic and how we plan to continue through the ongoing situation. When the new updates and guidelines started to be further spread apart, those separate videos kind of got melded back into the weekly mayor's update, and we just were doing the regular weekly updates. However, since many people have been asking about the state's recent designation of the city of Gardner as a red zone, we figured we would go back to doing a separate video just for this week so that we can talk about what exactly that means for us here in the city of Gardner and where that puts us going forward. So a red zone on the state's color-coded COVID map solely means that within the past week we have had more than 8 new cases here in the city of Gardner. At this time last week, and today is Friday, October 30th for reference, we had 5 active cases. As of this morning, we now have 42 active cases here in the city of Gardner. A lot of these we're seeing are employee-to-employee transmission or spread within a family unit, as if there's a family of 4 that lives in one household, that could equate to 4 cases right there when really they're located in that one specific home. But since some of the cases we're seeing are employee-to-employee, we want to ask the different employers in the city to please be patient and understanding with your employees if they're calling out sick. There was one instance that we've been told about where an employee who was experiencing symptoms tried to call out sick, but then in the end ended up showing up to work because there was some concerns that they would have issues with their job, and they just wanted to make it easier with their manager at that time. So please be considerate of your employees who are calling out sick and who are experiencing any symptoms. And we do ask people to please take the personal responsibility that if you are feeling sick and unwell or are experiencing any type of symptoms, please stay home. Don't go out with your friends. Don't go to work. Take the day off. We all need to do our part to make sure that we are slowing the spread here in the city of Gardner and helping end this as quickly as we can. I think it was said pretty wisely one time when it was said everything we're doing right now is really just buying time. We're buying time until the vaccine is ready for mass distribution. So everything we can do until then to make sure we are still able to go about and enjoy the amenities that we have here now that were initially closed in March. We need to all be doing our parts to make sure we continue the positive trend forward that we have seen over the past couple months, where we were able to reopen back up a little bit as we go forward. What this means for the students in our schools, our fall sports season has been officially canceled. While not a single case that we have in the city right now can be traced to any of our school buildings, since other school districts have closed due to cases where a student who was in that school building tested positive in our immediate surrounding school districts, we don't want our students being exposed to the virus from another school. So since our sports teams play each other, we have canceled Gardner's sports season for the remaining of the fall season. However, since no cases can be traced to any of our school buildings, our schools will still be operating in a hybrid model for the time being, at least for the foreseeable future, so long as we have no issues there. If there is ever a moment where we do have a school-initiated case, we will close the school to do a full deep clean of the building for a time period, and all of that information will be released from the superintendent's office. But at least at this time, even though we are designated red because of the number of cases we have seen over the past couple of weeks, we are still going to be operating in our hybrid model because, again, no cases have been initiated as a result of someone being in our school buildings. Our city buildings are also remaining open during this time period. So all of our buildings where we service the public, the 2 fire station and the police station, City Hall, the DPW building, those will all still remain open. Our employees are still here to help everyone with their needs, but we do still want to remind people that while we are open to the public again, we do still have all of the online programs and software that we used throughout the pandemic, that if you yourself don't feel safe going out into the public, please feel free to take the option to pay your bills online, apply for permits online, call us over the phone if you want something done quickly, that when you show up, we can get that ready for you ahead of time. Everything we did throughout the course of the pandemic and the shutdown, we still have all of that infrastructure here ready to go. So if that makes you feel more safe on your end, please feel free to take advantage of that as we move forward. I spoke with Secretary Sutters and a representative from Secretary Turco's office. Secretary Sutters, for those of you who don't know, is the Secretary for the Executive Office of Health and Human Services, and Secretary Turco is the Secretary for the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. These two officials lead the state's COVID enforcement and intervention team, and since Gardner has been listed as a red zone, they will be doing increased work here in the city of Gardner to make sure that we are following all of the necessary precautions that we need to take going forward to help reduce the number of cases as a result of the spread here in the city. What this means is that our Public Health Director, Lauren Saunders, and I will be meeting with them and having conference calls with the Department of Public Health on a regular basis until we are out of that red zone designation, and we'll be beginning those calls next week. There are some guidance that they've asked us to share with the public, and I'll be doing that now with the letter that we have here, just to summarize it for all of you so you understand what's going forward. So again, us being in the red zone means that we've had more than 8 cases per 100,000 people who live in the city over the past week that weren't there last week. So for instance, if we had 5 last week and we only got 3 new cases this week, well, when you relate to if anyone came off of quarantine and reduced that 5 back down to 2 and we had 3, yes, we had 3 new cases. However, we also had 3 come off, so that would have evened out. However, again, we had 5 last week and we're at 42 today, so we had a greater net increase of cases. The city obviously has less than 100,000 in population, so it's just basically number of new cases compared to last week. Our schools, as I said, will still be operating on a hybrid model. If anyone is interested in any information about what being in a red zone means, you can find that info at www.mass.gov/COVID-19, and there are several different graphics and information there available to the public to be able to use to their advantage. We do have several testing sites here in the city and throughout the state. Here in the city, we have 2. We have one at Haywood Hospital that is by appointment only, and there's also one at the Community Health Center on Connor Street that is a walk-up COVID test. So those 2 amenities are here in the city of Gardner if you choose to get tested or you feel you need to get tested. However, as I stated earlier, we do have several different testing sites statewide and in the area. If either of those options are unavailable to you at the time for one reason or another, please do get tested if you feel you've been exposed or if you are experiencing symptoms. If someone you know has been exposed or has tested positive, the contact tracers will contact you directly to let you know if you need to be tested or not. The COVID enforcement intervention team from the state also works closely with the Massachusetts State Police, the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission, the Division of Professional Licensure, and the Department of Labor Standards. Now, these are all of the state agencies overseeing every municipality's response to COVID-19 in the state. And they are actually patrolling the state on a regular basis to make sure that all of our organizations and residences are following the specific guidelines set forth in terms of number of people at a location, that the guidelines are followed, social distancing, masking, and so on from there. Communities that have a yellow and a red designation tend to have a higher amount of interaction with these departments with their random check-ins throughout the state. So we will also be getting reports from them as we move forward to make sure that the guidelines are being followed in a proper manner. And then the last thing I want to make sure people understand is we are still continuing in step 2 of phase 3 of the reopening plan. While we are now listed as a high-risk red zone community, since we were not listed as a red zone when that phase began, we are able to continue in step 2, which means we have the number of people at an outdoor event increased from 50 to 100. Performance venues have a certain number, I believe it's 250 as well. All of that information can be found on the city's website and the state's website. We are still able to continue in that trend. However, if we are still listed as a red zone for 3 weeks in a row, we must revert back to phase 3, step 1 at that time, not right now. So if for 3 weeks in a row we continue to see this trend that we have going forward, we do have to revert back to a smaller number of people that can gather in one place at one time per the regulations that are in place by the state. The state is also releasing a brand new recovery program as we go forward. It's called the My Local Massachusetts Initiative, where the state is asking, as part of our reopening process, please be an in-Massachusetts tourist if you can. Rather than going out of state for a family vacation, since many places are unable to be traveled to right now, try to find someplace new in Massachusetts to visit and be an in-state tourist. That's part of the state's recovery program right there. Here within the city of Gardner, we have many different amenities that people may not realize that we have here. We have an 18-hole golf course. We have a movie theater. We've got other different small businesses and local shops, especially now as we're moving toward the holiday season, where people are shopping for Christmas presents and other different gifts for family members. Please try to remember your local community when you're out and about in these next couple months, and help us reopen here to help our business community move forward in that manner as well. With that, the last couple of things we do want to mention here is the state also issued a new hotline. It's 211. And this is for residents who are having issues between landlord and tenant issues on both sides of that coin since the moratorium on evictions has been lifted by the state. If you are having an issue with your landlord, or if you are a landlord having issues with your tenants, please call 211 and someone from the state will be able to help you navigate through the next steps of the process now that that moratorium has been lifted, and since there is a backlog in the housing courts right now. So if you feel like you need help in either one of those, please call the 211 hotline that has recently been released by the state. Halloween is still taking place on October 31st from 5 to 7 p.m. There is specific guidelines for trick-or-treating that have been released by the state, and that is what the city of Gardner is following, similar to some of our other surrounding communities such as Leominster, Westminster, Hubbardston, Winchendon, and some other communities as well that are still having regular traditional trick-or-treat. So please make sure you are following social distancing, you are wearing a mask if you are not behind a costume mask, and make sure you are doing your part to make sure that Halloween remains a safe and healthy experience for our children. If you do not want people coming to your house to trick-or-treat, we ask that you please kindly turn your light off before the trick-or-treaters come around. Also, the State Elections Division has asked us to lock the ballot box that is in front of Gardner City Hall during trick-or-treat hours to make sure that no issues are experienced on that front. So the ballot box and the drop-off box in front of Gardner City Hall will be locked at 3 p.m. on Saturday, October 31st, and will reopen at 10 a.m. on Sunday, November 1st. And we are going to close today. Our health director, Lauren Saunders, has written a statement that she's asked that I share with you all. I'm going to be reading that to you now, and then we will end this COVID update here. Please do stay tuned for the regular mayor's update. That will be linked in the description of this video, and this video will also be linked in the description of the regular mayor's update as well. So again, this is from our Board of Health here in the city of Gardner. As we continue to see COVID-19 cases rise here in the city and surrounding communities, the Gardner Board of Health would like to remind residents to remain vigilant and follow best practices to protect yourself and others from contracting or spreading the virus. The best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to others, as the virus is mainly spread from person to person. Please avoid contact with people who are sick and stay home if you are feeling sick. This is extremely important. Practice social distancing by keeping at least 6 feet away from others if you must go out in public. Remember that people without symptoms may be able to spread the virus. Wear a cloth face mask or other face covering to cover both your mouth and your nose when you are around others. Don't forget to wash your hands often. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands, and cover your coughs and sneezes with your elbows when you feel the need to do so. Monitor your health daily and be alert of symptoms. Watch for fever, cough, shortness of breath, or other symptoms of COVID-19. This is especially important if you are running essential errands, going into the office or workplace, and in settings where it may be difficult to keep a physical distance of 6 feet. Follow CDC guidelines if symptoms develop. These can be found online on the city's website. It is very important for everyone to work together to prevent community spread of COVID-19. Please help us by doing your part to keep yourself and the community safe and healthy. So that concludes this week's COVID-19 update here in the city now that we have moved into the red zone designation. I do want to say, while we are at 42 cases, which is a lot to hear about, Fitchburg and Leominster have over 100 cases. So at least in terms of the region, we are still doing okay compared to others. However, we all need to be doing our part to make sure that we try to stop the spread as best we can here in the city of Gardner. So thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you in the regular weekly Mayor's Update. Thank you.